Speaking of billionaires, did you see that or hear that Elon Musk did an interview with a BBC tech journalist for the first time, I think, certainly since he's bought Twitter, but for the first time in a very long time, he gave an interview to a mainstream media outlet.
Right, okay, yeah.
You'll be unsurprised to know it didn't go very well.
Did he? Because he's mainly been. I didn't Twitter HQ remove the word W, so it said titter. This week. You enjoyed it. You enjoyed that. I mean, what I would say is that if they've got people who look after the buildings, and he's a billionaire, you could have just removed the letter W from Twitter HQ. But what they did is they just covered it up with a vinyl covering, the same colour as the background. And it's like, well, you've not really removed the letter there, have you? You haven't got any sort of conviction for your thing. So, yeah, they just...
Why did they do it in the first place? Because Elon thought it would be a funny joke?
Yeah, because it says tits, because the word tit is in there.
It's weird, isn't it? Because the interview he gave to the BBC, the talk is that it was supposed to be half an hour, but it went on for an hour and a half because, quote unquote, Elon enjoyed it so much. And I'm sure he did, but a large portion of it sounded a lot like he was making stuff up as he was going along.
Right, okay.
He basically said at one point that, because the journalist asked him why the New York Times don't have a verified checkmark anymore, and they're a very storied, in my view at least anyway, like they've got Pulitzer Prize winning journalists. They're a good outlet, and the guy was making the obvious point, which is that what's the point of verification if someone like the New York Times aren't going to get it? And then he started saying, well, it doesn't really matter. They're doing fine without it, fine, which is a reasonable point, I suppose.
Yeah. But
then he said, and you have to wonder how good the journalism is anyway, because in my opinion, if they weren't there it's not ever going to, the journalism work, the story isn't ever going to be as good as someone who was there to witness the event, and they're never there to actually witness the event. And I was like, you could say that about anything. I mean, you're sending people to space all the time. You're not actually going to space, but you're fairly confident it's happening, even though you're not there to... What kind of argument is that for apparently the world's richest man, one of the world's most successful people? To me, it felt like the kind of thing an 8-year-old would say.
The man is particularly thick for a man who's
I think he is as well.
So much financially.
Can you get away with saying that, though?
What, that he's thick? Yeah, of course you can.
No, but I mean, you can get away with saying it, but is it an opinion that has much traction? Would people go, oh, yeah, you're talking shit there because he can't be that thick because of how successful
I think there's quite a notable tweet where he sort of said he spoke about... what was his kind of thing? So, yeah, electric cars. I don't know anything about electric cars, but when everyone says that he's a fucking genius, I believed that. When he said he's a genius about electric car, I believed it because I don't know anything about electric cars. Yeah. When he went into space or his rockets or whatever, I didn't know anything about the rockets and space travel. So when people say he's a genius, I presume he's a genius. And now he's in my yard and he's talking about the back end of programming and Twitter and stuff like that, and he goes, oh, he is a fucking idiot because he's in my yard now.
Has that been your direct experience?
Well, I mean, he has clearly made massively weird missteps and tried to run a hugely complicated company in a very, very strange way, and he's tanked it. He's fucked it. He's removed many of the good things about Twitter. He's gutted the API connections in the back end because they were computationally expensive, and it's just very much like he's done the exact same thing an investment banker or someone in the city would do. Walk into a company, go, what's that doing? That's not serving any financial purpose. That's just and
stripping it all back, basically.
Stripping it all back, but stripping it all back with no fundamental idea about how that will affect. It's fundamentally broken now. Everything's fucked. But I will say, maintaining everyone's legacy blue marks and basically putting a sign saying this could either be a legacy blue mark from back in the day, or they could have subscribed to Twitter Blue, is a fucking brilliant joke. And everyone getting upset on Twitter going, I didn't pay for it. I'm not paying for it. It's a legacy mark. Oh dear. Fucking funny. Everyone getting very upset about their blue checks because it looks like they've paid for it. Fucking
It's a lot of money
brilliant.
to pay for just to troll people for a joke because you want to have friends and be accepted, though, isn't it?
What do you mean? As in, like...
Well, everything he does feels to me... I feel like the same way like a lot of these guys, like I'd say Piers Morgan's like this, I would say that there's a number of people, successful men of a certain age, and as an unsuccessful man of a certain age, I feel like I can comment on this. They just want to be liked, don't they? Like when Twitter when Elon Musk first bought Twitter, he did like a really weird, almost like music hall era joke where he walked in holding a sink, saying "Let that sink in."
Yeah,
it's all a bit like, what are you doing? Like, if you just want to be liked, there are far cheaper ways of doing that. I mean, you could have like a normal midlife crisis, start a stand-up career, I don't know, buy a motorbike or whatever, but you got the money.
I like the... I can't wait for you to start stand-up, Luke. I cannot wait.
When do you reckon it'll be? What year do you reckon it'll be?
I don't know. I just think we should cajole you into doing a tight 5 at the Comedy Store. A tight 5 at Hen and Chickens.
Do you know what annoys me is that you know that I think that I would be pretty good at it. And I do think that, and that annoys me, that I can't help but think that. And it annoys me how seen it makes me feel. But I'll never do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll never do it.
What was the question? I can't remember what the question was.
The question was, it's just, look, it's not an astute observation. It's been made a million times before. It's just a midlife crisis. I find it interesting. I find it interesting that we have this cacistocratic idea of society these days where the people who seem to be the least qualified to do things actually do them. And I find that quite an interesting thing, whether that's like the UK government or Elon Musk. I know that because I did Where's My Jetpack with Sarah, which is another Stack show, and I don't want to put words in her mouth because she's immensely qualified in this field and knows much more about it than I ever will, so I don't want to misquote her. But I do think the SpaceX achievements, I think, are kind of pretty well respected. I mean, they're quite a long way ahead of a lot of other commercial space enterprises and what they're trying to do with things like reusable rockets and they've overcome quite a lot of barriers to what would be in the way for people to sustainably at least kind of explore near space. They've done quite a lot have made quite a lot of progress in that, and he's obviously have some kind of say in that, and obviously is at least partly responsible for it, I suppose. But other than that, he just seems like a complete... I mean, honestly, I was listening to it, Peter. It wasn't even... I'm not just trying to be edgy or trying to be like, I'm cooler than him or whatever. I was listening to it thinking, fucking hell, this guy's a moron. He's like a moron.